Welcome to video 200 in my new kitchen that looks almost exactly like my old one. And if you're wondering, yes, I'm still wearing sweatpants. Today on Poor Choices, we're speaking my love language, and that is butter, all over lobster. We're talking butter-poached lobster tails, lemon-tarragon angel hair pasta, asparagus to make it feel responsible, and crispy breadcrumbs that crunch harder than a belt hitting the back of your legs. It's Mother's Day, and this is how you make amends for thinking you knew more than her at 12 years old. Lobster, cream sauce, breadcrumbs, redemption. This recipe and more here at the Poor Choices Kitchen YouTube channel. For this edible apology letter, you'll need 2 lobster tails, angel hair pasta, butter, and I mean a lot of butter, garlic, lemon, shallot, white wine, tarragon, Parmesan cheese, heavy cream because if we're going out, we're going to go out creamy, asparagus for balance, and panko breadcrumbs for crunch and emotional texture. Optional, but highly encouraged, a glass of rosé while you cook. So we're going to start by building your crispy breadcrumb topping because a rich creamy pasta deserves some texture to slap it back to reality. In a small saucepan, we're going to melt a tablespoon of butter with a drizzle of olive oil. Then we're going to grate in 1 garlic clove. Yes, we're going to grate it. Don't chop it, don't mince it. We're not here for garlic chunks. We're here for flavor infusion. Grated garlic almost melts into that fat. It perfumes the butter and coats every breadcrumb evenly, and that's perfect for something light and crispy like this. Later on, we'll be mincing garlic because we actually want pieces to hold their shape and give a little bite in the pasta sauce. But right now, we want that garlic to vanish into that golden crispiness like it was never there. But your taste buds know. Add your panko and stir constantly until it turns golden and toasty. Sprinkle in some chopped fresh tarragon. By the way, is it tarragon or tarragon? I don't think I've ever said it the same way twice. A pinch of salt, and if you're feeling a little extra, some lemon zest. Now we're going to prep the asparagus, but instead of steaming like I usually do, we're going to do a quick blanch. And honestly, I'm kind of mad that I waited this long because blanching asparagus keeps it nice and vibrant, it's tender and crisp, and way more photogenic than steaming could ever. Of course, no shade to steam, but it's giving hospital side dish energy sometimes. So first up, we're going to trim our asparagus, and you just want to snap off those woody ends. You'll feel the natural break point if you've been one spear. It's where tender turns to toothpick. And then you can just use that first spear as a guide to cut the rest. Then we're going to bring a pot of salted water to a boil, and just like our pasta water, it should taste like the sea. That quick salt hit helps season the asparagus and locks in the color. So you're going to drop your trimmed spears in for 2 to 3 minutes max. We want them tender but still a little snappy. Like you've matured but you still clap back on occasion. And then straight into an ice bath they go. Make sure it's nice and ice cold, and this halts the cooking and locks in that bright green color that makes it pop on the plate. Oh, and a little pro tip here, don't leave them in too long, just a couple minutes to chill out. Then you want to pull them and pat them dry because if they soak too long, they'll start to get waterlogged and kind of sad. Once they're dry, you can tint them with a paper towel or wrap loosely until plating. And again, blanched asparagus just adds some freshness to the plate without stealing the spotlight, and it's definitely going to make your mom happy that we're finally eating vegetables. Alright, so before we poach, we gotta free the lobster. So grab yourself some kitchen shears and cut down the top of the shell, and start at the wide end and snip all the way to the tail fin. Then we're just going to gently pry the shell open and carefully lift out the meat in one piece. And if you need to, you can wiggle your fingers underneath. And the key word here is gently. I got a little too aggressive with the second one and tore it like I was fighting for money. Lobster's expensive, it's delicate and full of fillings, so try not to manhandle it. Once the meat's out, double check for any visible vein, give it a quick pat dry, and we're ready to poach. Now, we are butter poaching these lobsters, and I need you to hear this with your heart. We are not boiling. Low and slow is the way to go. So in a small saucepan, we're going to melt about 10 tablespoons of butter over low heat, really just 2 sticks. And we're going to cut those up into pats and just add them slowly over time. And again, really low heat. We're also going to add in a sprig of thyme, some lemon zest, and a smashed garlic clove. Not chopped, not minced, and definitely not grated this time. Smashed garlic is all about infusion without distraction. You want the flavor to steep in the butter without little bits floating around while you're trying to baste. It gives you garlic aroma without burning or biting into a surprise chunk mid-bite. Then add in a splash of white wine, and if you're using a food thermometer like me, you want this to be around 160 to 180 degrees. That's your target for butter poaching. If you don't have one, no shame, just watch the butter. You want it fully melted with tiny lazy bubbles, but no sizzling, no foaming. If it starts looking hyperactive, just pull it off the heat for a second until it chills out. Then we just slide in our lobster tails, curved side up, and here's the move, baste them. Take a spoon and just start gently ladling that hot garlic thyme butter over the top, slowly and repeatedly. This is going to help them cook evenly and soak up all that infused flavor. After about 3 minutes, we're going to give them a flip and keep on basting. Cook time should be around 6 to 8 minutes total depending on the thickness of your lobster. If you're using a food thermometer, you want to pull them out at around 135 degrees Fahrenheit and then just let that carryover heat bring them up to perfection. If you don't have a thermometer, you can just look for these visual cues. 1, the lobster meat turns opaque white with a little bounce when pressed. The tail begins to tighten and curve slightly but doesn't curl up like it's panicking. And when you slide into the thickest part, there should be no translucency. Just buttery, tender flesh that flakes with a gentle pull. Once they're done, we're going to pull them out of the butter and then just let them rest while we finish our pasta. Now, don't touch that butter. We want to strain it. We're gonna run it through a fine mesh strainer to catch the garlic, the herbs, and zest, and what you're left with is an aromatic butter sauce that's perfect for drizzling over the final dish. But here's the safety move. Since that butter was hanging out with raw lobster, we need to bring it back to a gentle simmer for at least 2 to 3 minutes after straining. That knocks out any leftover risk and lets all those flavors come back to life. You don't need a full boil, just enough heat to let it gently bubble like it's remembering who it is. And then once it's safely reheated, you've got liquid lobster gold, rich, clean, and ready to drizzle like the final boss of flavor. But now it's time to build our sauce. In a separate pan, we're gonna saute some finely minced shallots and garlic and a bit of olive oil until they're soft and kind of jammy. Then we're gonna deglaze with a splash of white wine and let it reduce down. And here's the thing, cooking with alcohol isn't just about showing off or sounding fancy. It's a flavor you literally can't recreate with seasoning alone. Wine brings this dry, crisp edge that lifts rich ingredients. It's a balancing act. When you reduce it down, the alcohol cooks off and what's left behind is like the soundtrack to a movie. It's very subtle, but it changes everything. And once that wine's reduced, we're gonna pour in some heavy cream, some fresh lemon juice, and lemon zest. We're getting very lemony in this recipe. Then we start in our Parmesan cheese, and that's gonna be your salty, nutty depth to it. And then hit it with some fresh chopped tarragon, whatever it's called. I know I can look up how to say it, but honestly, who really looks up things these days? Come on now, it's the internet. And you shouldn't be trusting me anyways. Everything I've said in this video is a lie. Let all that simmer until it clings to a spoon. And now we taste it and see if it needs seasoning. But go easy on the salt. We've got Parmesan, maybe we're using salted butter, and definitely your own tears of joy for making it this far. That's already a lot of seasoning. But whatever you do, don't just take my measurements and be like, we're done. You definitely want to taste this because you can't go back after this part. All right, time to cook your pasta. We're using angel hair pasta. Ugh, I love angel hair pasta. It's fast, it's elegant, and delicate enough to pair with our rich sauce without overpowering it. So you want to drop into some aggressively salted water, and again, I'm talking like the ocean here. This is your one shot to get seasoning inside the pasta, not just on it, so don't skip this. And angel hair cooks fast, like 90 seconds fast. Set a timer, don't walk away too far. And before you drain it, we want to scoop out some of that pasta water and save it. I used to skip this step all the time until I kept wondering why my sauces were clumpy and weird instead of smooth and glossy like they do on TV. Pasta water isn't just starchy tap juice, it's like liquid glue for your sauce. That starch helps bind the cream, the cheese, and fat together into one silky cohesive sauce that actually sticks to the noodles. So remember, with pasta water, the sauce clings to the noodles like Jack clinging to that door, and without it, we're just a bunch of roses letting everything go. So once your noodles are just shy of done, drop them in the pan with the sauce, add a splash of pasta water, and toss everything until it's nice and cozy, creamy, hugged up, and unified. Oh, and one last thing in regards to the pasta, I really do mean 6 ounces of pasta. Avoid the temptation to put the entire box in because you're just not gonna have enough sauce to coat all of the pasta, so just an FYI. And now finally, for the plate up. We're gonna twirl some pasta into a neat little nest, and then we're just gonna lay our butter-poached lobster right on top. Don't forget that asparagus. And then we're gonna drizzle that strained poaching butter right over the lobster and pasta. Sprinkle on those breadcrumbs into a nice crescent shape. Finish with some lemon zest, maybe some microgreens, some cracked black pepper, and maybe a sorry that you don't say out loud. And there you have it, butter-poached lobster over lemon-tarragon angel hair. It's creamy, it's rich, it's a hug in silk pajamas, and it's kind of the dish that says, yes, I was a problem growing up, but now I cook lobsters, so we're even. If you want to say sorry without saying sorry, this is indeed that dish. And thanks for riding with me for 200 videos. Subscribe if you're new, join the Patreon for $1 a month. YouTube memberships are there as well if you're feeling fancy. And check the description for tools and links to all the things I use. And whew, let me tell you, I'm recording this the morning after Cinco de Mayo and I am feeling it. So apologies if I'm just talking weird or sounding weird or whatever is going on. This is literally the only time I have to record this. So woof, it's gonna be water for the rest of the day and probably the rest of this week. But I did have a good time. Now go out there and make this for someone who deserves it. Or just make it for yourself because honestly, you survived you too.